We will talk about the regional deck lists and whatnot and results as well and what it means for London. But first, there is one small thing we need to look out for, which is the OCG ban list that dropped. I want to say yesterday, I looked at it very, very briefly, but not in detail yet because I wanted to preserve the first reaction for the stream. So this is a somewhat first reaction. It's actually interesting because we have played some OCG on stream. This means we actually have some experience when it comes to the OCG meta, at least a little bit. It was only one stream, but at least somewhat, you know? So let's go over these one by one. So the only banned card is Spright Elf, which, first of all, Sag, overall still understandable. I'm still wondering about a couple of other cards at this point in time. I understand that you banned Elf, but what about some of these other, like, cards, you know? We'll talk about that at the end because I do think there's probably going to be a lot of missing cards on the ban list where we're like, what about that card? So yeah, let's Spright Elf. I'm a big fan of the card, you guys know that, but still understandable. Very, very understandable ban. Unfortunately, card has been made way too powerful. Limited, we have a Blaster and Glow-Up Bulb, which I believe both of those cards were banned. And I'm not gonna lie, I think that's pretty hype. I'm a big fan of both of these cards. I think Blaster, let's be real, Blaster is probably not gonna have a big impact. I'm pretty sure they also have Tempest, right? Because we have Tempest and no one is playing it anymore. I don't think we're gonna see Blaster ever do anything. It's also already in Master Duel and no one bats an eye at Blaster, right? So there's that. Glow-Up Bulb, on the other hand, is a card with actual potential to be a good card. If at anything, this card is a super easy Link 2 climb, including a tuner. Like it's free bodies, multiple tuners. It can even turn into like a relinquished Anima going second, so that could be something. It's an Earth, so it makes Nat Beast. It's a good discard. It's a good mill. Like this card is pretty good, especially considering that they already had like that Synchron kind of deck that sometimes did something, right, in the OCG. So this card probably slots into that deck really well. It's not a Synchron. I could still see it. Also, they have like a very Earth dominant metagame right now because of like Vernusylphs and Super Heavy Samurais, and I feel like that card just slots right in. So I'm definitely expecting this card to see play. I don't think this card in itself is the concerning part though. Like, let's be real, in 2023 a card like this is probably not the problem card. Like it might end up being a meta dominant threat, but that's probably because other cards are left unchecked. I'm still not seeing Block Dragon anywhere, so you know, like if an Earth pile is dominant, I don't think we should point at Glow-Up Bulb and be like, hey, that card's the problem, because I think that's Block Dragon, dude. We have one Mudora and one Kelbeck, which I have nothing else to say other than what took you so long, OCG, dude? Like, what took you so long? Holy shit. Did you really think 4 of each, like 4 Millers and 4 Shufflers was fine? Like, nah. Shocker, that was not enough. Okay, anyways, 1 and 1. We take those. Now, these next two make me personally pretty sad because I really didn't expect this. I don't really know why they had to do it to my boys like that. I think Bystial Lubellion, compared with a lot of other cards that are on the ban list right now, is like such a tame card. Like, Lubellion is such a based card, such a cool, you know, grindy gameplay it represents. I really hate the fact that Bystial Lubellion out of all cards is limited. I feel like that is such a fine card. Like, I mean, if you look at the Bystial decks, there was like Bystial Spright Synchro piles that were like pretty good, but I don't think Lubellion is the card you want to touch there. Like, how is it not Chaos Ruler? That's the problem. I don't know. And then for Spright, I honestly think that with an Elf ban, this is super uncalled for because think about it. They have no Elf, 1 blue, 1 jet, and 1 starter. Exactly, right? They're banning so much around Chaos Ruler that it feels really, really awkward to me. It's a really questionable decision to go like, yeah, they're playing this dragon sprite deck, so we really need to hit all the dragons on all the sprites. You're like, nah, you just had to ban the Chaos Ruler, you know? But yeah, I mean, now 1 blue, 1 jet, 1 starter, Spright is like, it's gone. It's just overkill. Then we have Havness and Merly, also limited, which I believe now makes it so that the OCG has completely annihilated and murdered pretty much all of Power of the Elements. Literally, look at Power of the Elements, bro. Almost every single card from that set is like limited. Look at this. This is roughly how Ishizu tier looked like when it was at full power. Look at what they had to do. They just traveled back in time and just deleted Power of the Elements. And the Darkwing Blast as well, dude. They also just like got rid of Darkwing Blast and Magnificent Mavens. They were like, hey, yo, these 3 sets in a row? What if we just forgot about it? What if we just acted like we didn't do that? You know? Spright, Tearlaments, Bystials, Kashtira, Ishizu cards. We were joking. We weren't serious. Did you think we wanted those cards to be in the game? Nah, bro. We were joking. Here, have a ban list. Everything is now not allowed anymore. Just go back. Just undo. So, like... I don't know what this is supposed to mean. Like, I think something has to be wrong if you basically have to literally hit every single card out of a set. I think that is a very weird kind of self-report that, like, not even 1 year after these sets, everything is gone. I mean, it's fine if you make a couple too powerful cards. We're all here for some power creep, you know? That's something we have come to terms with, I feel like. Because, you know, that's a natural thing in card games that don't have rotation. There is going to be power creep, but that's a little much. You know, the fact that you feel like you have to literally limit every single card that has touched the table basically in the last half a year or almost a year, like that's crazy. And then we have skill drain. Can we have that in the TCG as well? Let me make that clear. It's not very often that I look at an OCG ban list and I'm like, can we have that? Not very often. But this is one of those cases. I hope this means there is some sort of awareness for the play patterns that floodgates provide. Yeah, historically, I don't think it's ever been a thing where, you know, at least recently, anything that happened in the OCG did not mean that it would also happen in the TCG. Like, for example, I personally thought that, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, I thought that Perla Rhino being limited in the OCG was like almost a giveaway that we were going to get the same thing in the TCG, but that never happened, right? We got very different hits to the recent archetypes. So this doesn't mean we're also going to get that in the TCG, but I can hope. I can inhale a little bit of copium every now and then, so... Semi-limit Ancient Fairy Dragon. Was this card at 1? Because I don't think it makes a difference if this card is at 1 or 2. I find that very bizarre. Actually, the same goes for these 2 down here, now that we're speaking of it. I guess this is kind of like a testament to they don't want to go from 1 to 3 immediately. I guess the internal procedure is like, we're going from 1 to 2, see if it's a problem, and then we go to 3. That's the only way I can explain it, because honestly, no one's ever going to play 2 Ancient Fairy Dragons. Saryuja can matter in some combo decks, but I will say that in the TCG, the card is at 3 for ages, and it's caused some problems, but that was like 5 years ago. I feel like, you know, at this point in time, like, the card doesn't even see play at 1 most of the time, so... and then, I told you about this card when it got unbanned, that this card is just not good. You know, people were coping on this frame 1, and it's still copium. This card is not efficient or good anymore. And Gazelle, probably same thing. I mean, I'm all for unbanning Gazelle, so that's a good thing, but probably not gonna matter that much. Steam the Cloak is a card that I was originally a little bit worried about, but I think it has been proven that the card is fine. I can't think of an instance where I thought, damn, I hate the fact that this card is legal again in the TCG. I haven't seen much going on with this card. You know, Halqifibrax is banned, so I guess a lot of the casualties that got murdered because of Halqifibrax can just slowly come off the list. It's still a powerful card, and it could see play eventually, but I don't think it's a problem card. Thunder Dragon Hawk at 2 is probably also fine, even though the OCG still has Colossus, so this is kind of a Monka-esque situation, but Thunder Dragon Hawk is not the problem. Once again, I just want to clarify that. And the Dear Servant is absolutely fine in my book. It's a powerful card, but I'm down for this card to actually be unbanned. The only thing that Dogmatica ever did that I would be aware of problematic is like the Winda thing, right? And so just ban Winda, dude. Get it over with at some point. It's probably never gonna happen, but like, this card is not the issue. Judgment, please do not tell my 2013 self that I would ever say this, but this card kind of sucks now. It's like, I can't believe that I'm saying this, but like, it's not seen play. I can't fathom, like, my boomer brain still is like, how is this card ever okay? But somehow it just doesn't do anything. So there you go. Have a second Judgment. Runick Fountain at 2 is a very, very weird hit. Like, what the hell is that? This is the end of the semi-limit, so this is the only hit to Runick, which is like every single Runick deck besides Runick Stun would only use 2 copies anyways. So if you wanted to do anything about it, you had to put it to 1. It hits Runick Stun, but only in a very, very minor way. I guess the bigger hit to Runick stun is skill drain, but there's that. I mean, it's a very odd choice in my opinion. It's a very odd choice, but it has been made regardless. Unbans. Galatea. Does that put Orcus to full power in the OCG? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes, right? But I also think that doesn't mean anything. No Mermaid. All right. And Girsu is still at 1. Okay. I think it's fine for Galatea to be unlimited. I don't see this thing causing any problems anytime soon. Swap Frog. The OCG has no Toad, no Ronin Toad in. Rest in peace, my boys. But I'm pretty sure that means Swap Frog has no business being on the ban list. Like, what the hell? Like, chill. You don't have to murder my entire existence. Like, that's not necessary. Oh, Ronin is legal. Really? Ooh. Okay, I was wrong. In that case, that's kind of cool, but I do think that's still fine without Toad. We have Swap Frog and Ronin in Master Duel, and the only deck that would ever think about playing them is Spright. But Spright in the OCG now is like something you don't even talk about anymore. They don't know what that word means anymore. Like, no elf, 1 blue, 1 jet, 1 starter. Yeah, Swap Frog and Ronin can be free. They can roam freely, I'm pretty sure. No Toad? Nah, that's okay. 3 Kagaris? How many engages do they have? 2 engage, 3 Kagari. Could that deck see play now? I am really not sure still. I'm not convinced. I've thought about it before in the TCG because we've discussed this before. Even if hypothetically Sky Striker had like full power with like 3 engage, 3 Kagari, I'm not sure if the fundamental playstyle of the deck still suits, you know, 2023 Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's like by default, a deck that tries to play the game for that many turns doesn't seem that great in 2023 Yu-Gi-Oh! The only card I'm concerned of is drones, yeah. But that card was never even that good in pure Sky Striker. It was just like splashed in Link decks. That's the problem. But like, as for pure Sky Striker, I don't know if this is gonna make an impact. I mean, I'm interested to see it. You guys know I actually am a fan of Sky Striker. I really liked Sky Striker as like a control deck that was actually viable without floodgates in 19. There was a time, believe it or not, when Sky Striker was not like a degen floodgate deck. It was just good because it outgrinded, you know? And then at some point with power creep, Sky Striker was left behind. Everything else got power creeped. Sky Striker got hit on the banlist a little bit. And then Sky Striker became like this universally hated floodgate deck. But I think in its core, Sky Striker is a very fun deck to play. At least I like it. You know, I understand some people don't like it, but I personally like it. Except for that one day. Yeah, we don't talk about that one day, all right? Outside of that one day, I'm a pretty big fan of Sky Striker. So there's that. This is not a Monka situation for me where I'm like scared that this is gonna be good again. I think it's actually, it would not be the worst if Sky Striker is a good deck again. Yadagarasu, yeah, once again, don't tell this to any of the boomers from back in the day, but this card sucks now. And Cursed Outland. That is a perfect trade, you know. Give Eldritch all of their engine cards at full power as long as you take away some of these floodgates. I'll take it any day. This is the end of the ban list. Overall, what do I think of this ban list? I think I have 3 main thoughts about this ban list. The first and overall thought is that I think it's a solid ban list where most of these cards are moving in the right direction. For example, a card like Gazelle should be moving away from the ban list, whereas a card like Skill Drain should be moving onto the ban list. Ishizu cards, Tearlaments cards, arguably Sprites and Bystial. I think that's iffy. I think they might have done a little bit too much there. But the cards that are on here are moving in the right direction. I think. Most of them. So that's a good thing. My second thought, though, is that I would think this is a fine ban list if it happened in TCG like this. But then I'm thinking, like, I have to remind myself, hey, wait, this is OCG. And now, in that context, I think it looks a little bit more ridiculous because, like, why are we hitting Bystial Lubellion when cards like Block Dragon, Chaos Ruler, Maxi, all those cards are just roaming free and we're like, hey, you know what? This Bystial Baldrake guy, kind of sus. That needs to go. That is questionable reasoning, let's say that much. My biggest concern with this is like, they're still refusing to really hit problem cards. There's not that many actually really problematic cards on this list that they actually decided to hit. They were like, Skill Drain is an absolute problem card and Ishizu cards are absolute problem cards. That's basically it. Everything else is like engine pieces where you could have also done something else. You know, you didn't have to hit Baldrake. You didn't have to hit Druid Swarm. You could have also hit these decks in other ways. There's not like this one problematic card that ruins every single game. Maybe you could argue Elf because it was so generic. Yes, but like there's a lot of other cards where I'm like, why is this card not on here? My last and final thought on this ban list. I don't know how I feel about the fact that basically what I said earlier, all of Power of the Elements, all of Darkwing Blast, all of Magnificent Mavens, and even parts of Photon Hypernova are now almost entirely hit on the ban list in some way, shape, or form. That just doesn't really add up in my head, because at this point in time, they're basically like forcing a rotation, right? They're making decks so powerful, and then they hit every single card from them, so they basically rotated. Like Power of the Elements rotated out in the OCG. It's gone. Tearlaments rotated. Spright rotated. Bystial rotated. It's not like we have like some leftovers. One blue, one jet, one starter. That's not leftovers. That is gone. I don't know if they are trying to make like one big cut. If they're like, hey, yeah, these sets were an issue. But honestly, I didn't even feel that way about them. I didn't even feel like they were this huge mistake that like ruined everything. Because for the most part, I enjoyed Spright gameplay. I enjoyed Bystial gameplay. I enjoyed Tearlaments gameplay. Except for the Shizu cards and Kashtira, I think Spright, Bystial, and Tearlaments were actually like cool design. So I wish they balanced them out a little bit better so they didn't have to kill them all completely. That's basically my thoughts on this. I think it's kind of sad that like archetypes get just like completely annihilated like this. And also, can someone explain to me why they didn't touch the Earth decks at all? Isn't that pretty dominant? Like Super Heavy Samurai and shit like that? Why is this not here? Where is it? They even gave them Glow Up Bulb. Why? Have they red block dragon? I have so many questions. It is what it is. Whenever I look at, or most of the time I look at stuff from the OCG, I start feeling a little bit less bad about certain things in the TCG. Whatever that means. So that's that. All right. There you go. That's my reaction to the OCG ban list.